These next few videos are going to cover the 2.1 practice assignment, and they will be in multiple parts since YouTube limits me to about 15 minutes. So this is the bookstore file, and just to give you a quick little overview, you can see we have a title and we have different groups of inventory. We have clothing, we have class supplies and miscellaneous. We have the price per unit. This, I'm assuming, is the price that they pay for it. And then the quantity in stock. We're going to add a few more columns here to do some calculations. So I'm going to bring in the instructions and we'll pull these out. So step number 2, to quickly change the appearance, we're going to apply a theme. This theme mesh is included in your installation of Office, but if you don't have it, it's also included in the download from my lab. You can just you can install it. So to access the themes, you just click on Page Layout, and then you have an item all the way over on the left-hand side, Themes. If you just click on this, if you needed to, you could browse for themes and you could actually look for them. And what this does is it takes and applies formatting, color, font size, etc. to your spreadsheet. And you can see in the background as I move around the various themes that it changes. The sizes change. So for example, I go to Office, that's the default. So I'm going to scroll down to Mesh, and there's Mesh right here. And I'll click on that. It's not part of the assignment, but you could also have a different palette of colors, and you could also have a different palette of fonts, but we'll leave these the default. All right, so step 3, we're going to have a couple of column labels. In D4, we're going to have inventory cost, and then in E4, we're going to have it as total, and then we're going to do some calculations. So we'll get to those in a moment. So I'm going to slide that over. So in D4, this is going to be inventory cost. And then a quick way to go over to E4 is just to hit your tab key. You'll see it moves me over. You can also use your cursor keys, and we're going to do total. The next instruction is, let me bring this back. This is step 4. We wanted to determine the inventory cost of each item. So we're going to create a formula, and then we're going to copy it down throughout the rest of the column, and then we'll delete some blanks. So in Excel, when you work with a formula, you always start with the equal sign. So we're going to do equal, and then we're going to multiply the contents of B6. So I'm just going to click on B6, and then multiply, which is the Shift 8 key, and we're going to do C6. You could also type in equal B6 times C6. You don't have to point and click. I find pointing and clicking can be helpful, but it's not absolutely necessary. One thing you'll notice, though, is the formulas that I have, or the cell addressing that I have used, you'll notice they're color-coded. So B6 is blue and C6 is red, and you'll see that where I have used those, they're also color-coded. So let's say I add let's say C9. It doesn't make sense to make it here, but you'll see that's purple. And if I add another one, you can see that it turns green. So you'll get a variety of colors, but obviously we don't need those other cells. So that can help you when you are creating formulas, and it can also help you later when you are editing formulas. So we'll just hit enter. And now I want to bring this down through, I think that's row 39. So I'm just going to use the autofill. That's this lower right-hand button, little square. You'll see my mouse has turned into a thick plus sign. I'm going to hold the mouse button down, and I'm just going to drag down. Now, if you go beyond where you need, all you got to do is stop, and then just drag back up. So sometimes you may offshoot and just blow right by what you were wanting it to stop at. So just don't let go of the mouse. Just If it's going, you see it's moving fast, no biggie. Just bring it back in, and we'll move it back up. So I don't need to be down there to row 500. Boy, I really went far. Come on, there we go. There we go. So I'm going to drop it here to D9, D39. Now you'll notice that there are some areas, these two right here, that don't need to be there. So we're just going to delete that. That's the rest of step 4. So delete those, because the formula, if I click here, there's the formula. And if I just click up here, you can see that it's multiplying those two. A blank cell is considered 0. So 0 times 0 is 0. So we'll delete those. And so we're just going to go back and delete. It's a little easier than recreating the formula. So I think we got that all done. There we go. So that was step 4. Format the resulting figure as currency with 2 decimal places. So if I go back and select all of these, they're already set for currency. So let me come back here. I'm going to go to home and number. Now, since I'm using a smaller space, you'll see that the ribbon's a little different. So I'm just going to click on number. And you can see from the list here, we have a variety of formatting for numbers and dates and text. Currency and accounting are what we're familiar with dollar signs. So use the one that the book tells you to use. So currency, you can see how the dollar sign hugs the number. If I come back up here and I choose accounting, you'll see that the dollar sign hugs the left side. And if you were to click the button here, the dollar sign button, that's basically the same thing. It's really a preference as to what you want. My suggestion would be, if you're using currency, the number formatting for currency, you will want to stick with that throughout. Make sure that you do provide number formatting that makes sense. I don't want the quantity here to be in any in any currency format. Okay, so that was the rest of step 4. In step 5, we want to calculate the total cost of each individual inventory item. So for example, if I scooch this down, I want to see what the costs are going to be for gym shorts, and then for sweatpants, and for t-shirts, etc. And we're going to put this first one, let me scooch this back up. We're going to put that in E10. So I'm just going to scroll that up a little bit. So I want to put it in this box right there. Let me bring Word back up. So I want to put it right in that box. And then we're going to copy that down. Actually, we're going to recreate it. So a couple of ways we can do it. My lab wants you to use a function. So let me bring this back in. And you'll notice right here, enter a function. I'm just going to highlight it. So that's telling you that you're going to be using a function. A function is a pre-designed program, a little mini program that's built into Excel. We're going to cover a lot of functions this semester. And so the function we're going to use is the sum function. So just like we do with formulas, we're going to start it with the equal sign, and we're going to start typing the function name, so SUM. Now you'll notice, I'm going to backspace. I started with my letter S. You can see there's tons, hundreds, if not thousands, of different functions. And as I continue to type the function name, you will see that eventually the one you want will show up. We have sum, SUMIF, and SUMIF. These last 2 examples we'll cover later. So this is the function I want to use. So an easy way to use that is just to hit the tab key. Now, every function is going to have a set of arguments. Arguments are specifications. So for example, in chapter 3, we're going to do the payment function. And so to calculate a payment, we're going to need the interest rate, the number of payments, and the loan amount. So those 3 would be our individual arguments. And you always separate arguments with the comma. In this example, we just want to have the numbers. So I want to have D6 through D9. And you'll notice I just dragged it out for the range. And then I close my parentheses, and then I hit enter. So we'll go down to the next one, which is E15. and I'll type in equal sum. I just hit the tab key when I found it. If you don't have it, let's say right here I didn't type the M, I can just use my down arrow key and I can go to sum, and then I can just hit the tab key to accept that. I could type in D11 colon D14. You may find that to be a little easier to just type in the range. That range is the D11 through D14, and we use the colon to specify that you're making a range. And you can see that when we typed in D11 colon D14, that it highlighted all of that. So we'll hit enter, and then I'll just continue to do that. I find it's easier to highlight, but sometimes if you have a lot, you're going to want to use the actual addressing. So let's do that one, and then we have two more. So we have equal sum, and then I'll just swipe those. Again, you could actually type if you wanted, and then equal sum, this last one, and then we'll hit enter. So what we've done is all of these. Let me just highlight them. It's a table, so it's difficult. We just completed each of these. So we wanted to find the total of each subcategory. And that's what we have. All right, we're going to stop here because I only have 15 minutes. And then the next part will be step 6.